Good morning, world.
Good morning.
Today we're going to talk about how some prominent former Democrats have shifted to the Republican side.
This should be interesting. Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, Cedric, before we do this, because this has nothing to do with it, but it has everything to do with our listeners trying to get you to move out here to Tennessee. So we're filming this on May the 6th. And here, I'll bring this up for you. A tornado touched down around Smithville, Tennessee in DeKalb County Monday afternoon.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you currently reside in Smithville?
Yep. I missed the fun. I was in Murfreesboro, but everybody else was here. They didn't see it. Anyways, it said at 4:24 p.m., the National Weather Service in Nashville issued a tornado warning for DeKalb and White counties. At 4:30 p.m., the National Weather Service...
What counties?
I was waiting for that reaction.
What counties?
Here, let me finish this up, and it'll send it home. The service confirmed a tornado had touched down in Smithville and was picking up debris, as was evident by the radar. At this time, rotation is still evident as this storm moves into White County.
Tornadoes, White County. Any more selling points for me to move to Tennessee?
I'm trying to look for property for you in White County.
Well,
It's my neighbor county.
Okay. All right. So you told me this morning we were talking about some prominent former Democratic candidates. I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. I know you don't want to hear my excuses, but I was talking about one in particular. But which one were you talking about?
There's one that's running for president this time around, and that's RFK Jr. And
Yes.
He didn't go to the Republican Party, but he's running as an independent. He did leave the Democrat Party. But I've been watching, and she's been making the rounds, probably because she wrote a book. But Tulsi Gabbard, who ran for president in 2020 under the Democratic Party, has left and is now endorsing Republican candidates. And she even came out and said she would help Democrat candidates that were open-minded and centrist, but she said none of them would have asked her for any endorsements. But she's been helping Republicans, so.
Awesome. I like RFK Jr.
Yeah.
I really do. The only problem is that whether you want to believe it or not, the presidential race is all about having that it factor.
Yeah.
Having that, and Trump has that. It's a big reason why the Florida governor,
DeSantis.
Lord, I'm waking up, DeSantis, just doesn't have it. Same policies, same beliefs, but when Trump walks into a room, you know he's there.
Yeah,
and there aren't too many people who have that.
He's got name recognition, definitely. That's what helped him, in 2016. You talk about RFK, and I was watching Dave Rubin with Tulsi Gabbard. They did a special together. And they said, both of them said that RFK is just a genuinely good human being.
Yeah.
There's policies that he still brings from the old Democrat Party, like I think he's still kind of big on the whole climate change thing. But Tulsi seems to be coming around on a lot of her views. And she is, I know you haven't heard this, but she's been in the conversation as Trump's running mate as vice president. And she said if she gets the call, she's ready. She's ready to, she wants to just help this country any way she can. And she feels that is the direction to go. And I think it would be great because hopefully that would help pick up the independence that, that anybody running for president needs. Independents, I think they make up 42% of the electorate, so you can't win an election without the independents. And there's going to be those never Trumpers, even the Republican never Trumpers who won't vote for him. So you really need to pick up those independence. So I think Tulsi. Not only do I just like her when I see her speak, she's moderate. I'm more of a moderate guy. I registered Republican now. I was an libertarian for a lot of my adult life, but it's a two-party system. You just can't get around it. You vote for a libertarian, you're just throwing your vote away.
Yeah, and I know you and I caught a lot of flack for saying that, but the truth hurts. It is a two-party system. What's appealing to me about RFK Jr. is that he's not bashful about it. For me personally, the whole God, country, family, and the fact that he talks about that openly and honestly, that's really appealing to me.
Well, he rose to fame because of the COVID stuff, because he completely separated from the Democratic Party when they were just, they just wanted to shoot everybody up with that Pfizer vaccine. And he's like, he's kind of been anti-vax in general, or just vaccine skeptic, just trying to present his beliefs. And the Democratic Party just doesn't want anything to do with him. They think he's a whack job when he's just, if history's any indication, we look back on COVID, and it was a good wake-up call to don't just follow the, what all the quote-unquote experts say, because that's been proven that they were just feeding us the line. Again, big pharma, me being from the chiropractic background too, I've always been big pharma skeptical anyway. So he does fit into my alignment there, but there's still other things that he's carried over that I'm not a huge fan of. But as Tulsi Gabbard was saying, I like the big tent idea. Bring the ideas in, and one of the things right now is she was bringing up this point that the Democrats back in the old days, the regular liberals, they were a big tent party. They would argue, and people would say, "Oh, the Democrats can't get it together." Now that's what they're saying about the Republicans, because it's good. You don't want everybody towing the same line. Cedric and I are both lean conservative, but we lean conservative with different ideas. But it brings us together as a whole, and it moves us away. Again, Cedric just mentioned it. Family. I'm just going to say too. His is God, family, country, and I'll even just say family, country. Because there's people out there that think, as we've seen with these XTC comments, that might not be on board because they have their questions and they're struggling with God. But you still have to. You have to be cohesive in this country, and I've said this a number of times, and it was one of the founders that say, our society cannot work without a religious background. So whatever you want to call your religious background, you have to have a set of morals that everybody has to abide by. Otherwise, you can't function.
I agree. So, I like this whole thing because it appears that today's Democratic Party is really falling apart. It's not the party of JFK. It's not our parents' Democratic Party.
No.
They're the infighting, and the fact that they're trying to destroy this country. And now some people, when you say that, they're thinking they're not trying to destroy this country. Yeah, they are. It's very similar to what BLM was doing when they said that we're a Marxist organization and we're trying to destroy the nuclear family. Mm-hmm. I love what I think Tulsi posted this on X today, although I don't have X anymore. She said, I joined the Democratic Party over 20 years ago because it defended free speech and civil liberties and fought for the little guy. Yeah. That party is unrecognizable today. Today it is led by an elitist cabal of woke warmongers. And like Brian was saying earlier, that came from her book. It's what's it called? For Love of Country. Yeah. We're not pushing her book, but like Brian just talked about earlier and I talked about, for me, it's God, country, family. Brian talked about country. But the biggest thing is for her is freedom.
Yes.
We have to get back to our founding principles of this country, which is freedom, living in peace, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's been taken away from us. And we see it right now. We talked about in our last video. We look at these campus protests that are going on right now. And we picked out a few schools, UCLA, USC, Columbia. And for lack of a better phrase, this has become Joe Biden's Vietnam. This is a war that he has to fight. And he's not doing a good job because, as we've seen with Grandpa Joe, he is unwilling to take a side. If he takes the side of, if he's pro-Hamas, that's going to piss everyone off. If he's pro-Israel, he had the young vote the last time he ran. He is going to lose that young voting bloc very quickly.
But that's what happens when you're Joe Biden and you basically just put your finger up and see which way the wind's blowing. He doesn't have a set of principles himself. He never has. If you go and look
Right.
back at his, from the 70s, the 80s, he always just went where the wind blew, especially within the Democratic Party. He doesn't have a set of principles.
Right.
He just doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Obama didn't either. Obama was. This is the hilarious part. Obama was president when the whole gay marriage thing came up, and Obama's the one then said marriage is between a man and a woman. And then guess what? He put his finger up and he said, maybe not.
Yeah. Brian, I'm going to stick my foot in my mouth here. I'll be the one to say it. You can direct all the angry comments at me. You brought up Barack. Barack, JFK, Bill Clinton, they all had a lot in common. And let's just say it. They were good-looking men. And that has a lot to go. I'm not saying Tulsi Gabbard's going to win any beauty contest, but it was her, there was Hillary. It's like, come on. It's which way are you going to go there? And I think Trump picking Tulsi Gabbard as running mate will do a lot of things. Number one, people kind of see her as a Democrat still. Picking a former Democrat will be awesome. It'll show solidarity between, as you call it, the two-party system. Like, yeah, if we get together, we can do this together. And I have yet to see a Republican person turn Democrat, but I've seen hundreds of Democratic people turn Republican.
Yeah,
and here's the other thing. Yeah, like I said before, she looks the part. Number one, she's a woman. She's an attractive woman. So if you can get a woman on board, that will go. And then they say that Trump always has to have pretty women around him anyway. But other than that, as we saw, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, when Tulsi debated Kamala Harris, she ate her up and spit her out.
I know.
It wasn't even close. So the fact that she's not involved in word solid like our current vice president, and she can articulate her points succinctly and clearly, I think that goes a long way in making her a top running mate for President Trump.
Oh, and I can't wait if she is to see that vice presidential debate. It would be round 2, man.
She ate her up and spit her out. It was sad. She talked about Kamala Harris placing by 1,500 black men behind bars for smoking marijuana. And then when she was asked about the exact same thing, she giggled about it. Like, oh, well, everybody takes a little puff here and there. She blocked evidence which could have freed a man from death row. And the courts had to force her to show that evidence. And she kept convicts in prison way past their sentencing time just so they could have the extra work. So she has a lot of things. If Tulsi wants to go in hard on her, she has a lot of ammunition available.
Yeah, but it's funny because she was doing that in the Democratic debate. And I don't know if that'll work as well with the Republican debate, because Republicans like to see criminals, put behind bars.
Yeah.
What she could do is then talk about her hypocrisy, how she did that when she was the DA, but then all of a sudden, once BLM started, she was helping fund releasing